Welcome to the Three Guys and a Pie podcast. I'm Gary, and here with me is my co-host Jonathan.
Hello, everyone.
And our guest for this evening is Aaron.
How's it going?
Tonight we talk about Cyberpunk, the video game, dip a little bit into Bitcoin, cybernetics versus genetics in a post-scarcity society, with more to come in a later episode. As you guys know, I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk recently. It came out in December, I think on the 16th. And I've beaten the main storyline. I'm doing all of the side quests. I have like 70 hours in the game.
Your computer was able to make it?
Begrudgingly, yes. My computer
struggled the whole way.
Dude, it was such a struggle. Like it looks like no lie. The graphics from Grand Theft Auto Vice City on the PlayStation 2 probably looked better than how I was running Cyberpunk on my computer. But the computer's old. I need to replace it. But so in Cyberpunk, the whole point is that around the 1980s, so you know how we had like a tech boom in like the 2000s where technology just went from going like linear to a fucking exponential growth?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
All right. So instead of our timeline where that happens in the 2000s, in the Cyberpunk timeline, that happens in the 1980s. And you can see the effects of everything. But the main selling point of the game is that you can augment yourself with like implants and like everyone has like a computer in their head.
Like Deus Ex?
The game or the movie?
The game.
I've never played the game. I've watched the movie. The movie
it sounds like
the movie is disappointing. But
coming from you.
Yes, because like it's such an unsatisfying ending.
Yeah.
Like
that's a spoiler, Gary. Tag your spoilers.
I didn't even reveal the ending.
Yeah, but now I know that it's not satisfying.
The movie's been out for like 8 years.
I've never even heard of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I wasn't even aware this movie existed.
All right, we'll put it on the list. We'll have to watch it. But like you can implant a whole bunch of different shit inside of your body. Like my character has like mantis blades, which are literally blades that pop out of the forearms and you look like a praying mantis. There are ones gorilla arms, or knucks as they call them. And they're just big metal hands that I could punch Aaron and his head's all over the friggin' wall. But so this got me thinking, and it was a subject that we've talked about before, about transhumanism. And I figured this was interesting for you guys because you guys always have differing opinions from me.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to live forever.
You're right. I don't want to live forever, dude.
You got this kind of like.
Do you know how many
old
taxes
world
I'll have
mentality.
to? Do you know how much taxes I'll have to pay once I live forever?
Yeah, but
they'll come after me for the taxes I haven't paid.
Gary, if you don't have death, you have to have double the taxes to make up for it.
No, because see, I don't like that. I don't like that.
I mean, eventually, I'm sure we'll talk about a post-scarcity society at some point. But like, that's the point you'll reach. You won't need to worry about paying taxes anymore, Gary.
I mean, I guess, but I also don't want to live that long.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a point where I just want my suffering to end.
And you can use that point. Doesn't that make it better?
It's debatable. Like, okay, so bridging the gap from Cyberpunk to transhumanism, I couldn't sleep worth shit last night. Probably you guys realize this because I texted both of you at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I just assumed you
have notifications off. So
well, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure you saw it in the morning. Like,
no, I was awake too.
Oh, were you?
I didn't look at it till like 11 today.
Well,
I might have seen it.
You never look at it.
I don't know. Aggie might have woken me up. I might have saw it at like 4 a.m. and just ignored it. I don't even remember what you told me.
So
it was that text. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it was text for names of the podcast, but the whole reason that I was up was because I couldn't sleep because I'm sleeping on a freaking couch right now, and I was like, well, to pass the time and try to make me tired, I'll watch some YouTube videos about what transhumanism is. And I also think it might be worth saying that none of us here are experts on anything we ever talk about, unless we talk about specifically mathematics, geology, and whatever the hell I do.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a crap show. I would not call myself a professional or an expert with math.
Mathematics.
Just because I have a degree.
Yeah, the guy that can't do 2 + 2 and mental math. And
2 + 2, that's 4.
I have a
degree
degree with geology, but I wouldn't say I could identify a rock.
I think most people...
Armchair experts, we will say.
I think most people who have a degree in math would agree with me. You stop doing basic math like halfway through the degree. It becomes...
Well, yeah, because aren't you guys like working... Like, doesn't it reach a point where you guys are just working with like P-Chem stuff? Like theoretical math?
It depends what your focus... Math is a huge field. So, like, my focus... I ended up doing my thesis about cryptography. So, hindsight, that was a mistake. That made the whole process...
What the fuck is cryptography?
See, this is the bad part. I can't even explain it. It's like essentially the science of encryption and the different ways we use to keep our data secure.
Oh, so maybe you can help that dude in California who can't get his $220 million worth of Bitcoin off of a hard drive.
Yeah, that's always a sad day.
That's not as sad as the dude who just straight up threw his hard drive of Bitcoin away in England. He estimates that he has approximately $580 million worth of Bitcoin on that hard drive.
Yeah, I could totally believe it.
So it's just on individual hard drives? If the hard drive
when you mine it...
you're just out of money?
That's how crypto kind of works.
How is that safer than paper money?
Your wallet is saved locally, usually. There's a ledger somewhere that would have your value. The way I'm vaguely familiar with Bitcoin. I did a little bit of it in my studies. Like my cryptography professor kind of talked with us a little bit about it. But you almost have a digital wallet. That's what they call them. And like it's saved on a hard drive. It depends on how you transact and things like that. But yeah, you have to have physical access to the hard drive to access your wallet usually. In most cases.
Yeah, and it's really weird too because like my dad is always on. I mean, like you know my dad. You don't know my dad as much, but my dad is like always on the like next get rich quick scheme. And like when I came home from college, he was like, "So how much do you know about crypto?" And I'm like, "I know it's a bad idea."
No, see, that's where you're wrong.
Well,
anybody and their brother could have told you should have bought crypto. Had I listened to my friend back in high school, I would be insanely wealthy right now.
Oh yeah, like I could have bought crypto when it was like $13 a Bitcoin.
I could have bought it at a couple like cents at the like.
Yeah, no,
I still don't get why
I'm not
valuable and people want it. Like
it's another form of decentralized finance, and it's a way to transact anonymously, which is the biggest draw of it.
And that's what makes it really attractive to drug dealers, because
drug dealers, sex workers, just pretty much anybody who is doing something that the government would not look fondly on. It's a way to transact money, which is why a lot of people are scared that if the government regulates more harshly, that it'll lose a lot of its value, because a lot of its value is in its unanimity.
There's also
anonymity.
There's no monetary policy because you have no central bank of sorts. You have no.
That's why crypto.
I don't even know economics enough to say
like
reserve. Like there's got to be. I don't know. I'm very skeptical.
In a way, it's backed by the electricity it took to mine it.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that where you can turn electricity into Bitcoin.
Yeah,
by basically having.
But it's also bottlenecked at your processing speed.
So,
which is why it is so hard to buy graphics cards, because there was a time where people were buying out graphics cards to just mine crypto, and this was around the time that I was building my computer. So that made it really suck because I ended up paying almost like 1.5 times the price for a graphics card that wasn't even that great, but because it's all that anyone had.
But wouldn't the market trend downward to the point where it's not profitable for a lot of people to do that anymore,
that's exactly what's happened.
Okay.
It's really only profitable if you're able to make a large scale rig. And Bitcoin in a lot not in a way it's directly tied to
start it.
Well,
for it to be worth it.
It's all about statistics. I don't know if
how
I don't know if
cheap
we
your
really want
electricity
to
gets?
get into how Bitcoin specifically
No,
works.
but-
Because I do know, I am familiar with Bitcoin and how it works, and we could have a discussion about that at some point.
Yeah,
but
I don't want
I-
to talk about
But
crypto,
like, all I
dude.
want to know
I'm
is why
so-
is Bitcoin gone from $13 or whatever you said to
like
38,000 or whatever it's at now?
The question really is for me with Bitcoin is why did Bitcoin take off, but things like Electrum and all these other ones didn't?
Their prices are relatively tied to Bitcoin. I don't know enough
It's
to
about
answer that question
branding and
specifically.
marketing, you know?
They're all
If
different.
if I was supposed to name one crypto, that's the only one I
Do you
can
want to buy
name.
anime coins?
So if we really want to get into this, it's about utility.
No, I don't.
Well, you keep diving deeper.
No,
Gary,
I
and
know.
I could explain roughly why.
Okay, well
this
then
is
we'll
the
talk about it
case.
later. Next episode when we talk about Bitcoin.
Ooh, how fun!
God, what a snooze fest. Anyway, no.
As you insult half the people listening.
No. Like, learn. It is
How can you have
interesting.
half of one person? Let's be real.
No, like, learning about Bitcoin is interesting. All learning about it from you, that's debatable.
What is it? you get those. It's like, oh yeah, we have the mathematician here who actually is able to use some of his education to explain something, and you're like, nah, we don't want to
So
talk about
Bitcoin
that.
is like in all those sci-fi movies
Why do we
where
keep
you
going
have
back to it?
government. Well, not in this case, it's not government, so it's the opposite. But you have those credits and whatever, the electronic money that people can just kind of like steal and wipe away from you.
In a very, very basic sense of the saying, yeah.
Well, and it's kind of like in wrapping this all the way back to where we started with Cyberpunk. In Cyberpunk, the universal dollar is not obviously the dollar. It's called the Euro dollar. They just call them eddies. But it's got the weird thing where it's paper money, but it's also this like crypto money where like you never see like huge stacks of like Euro bucks just fucking out and about. Most of the time, it's people wiring you eddies.
So like current day financial transactions.
I don't understand. Yeah, it's either
with-
physical or it's digital.
But
on the
most of
computer.
the time, like, it's so weird because like in the game you'll find rolls of eddies, but it like that just seems so because most of the time it's like $5.
Was it like coupon codes or
I
gift
don't
cards?
know because
It's like when you're paying with a credit card. It doesn't sound any different than the current financial situation. It's just a different currency.
But you never see people actually in the game anyway. You never see people actually like hand cash to each other.
I don't see people ever hand cash to anybody in real
I
life.
hand cash to
Sorry,
you
yeah,
all
like,
the time.
Okay, occasionally when you actually pay us back for stuff.
You never tell me when
I
to
don't
pay
know.
for
You guys
stuff.
are definitely.
It makes it difficult.
I don't want to say the exception, but you're definitely more onto the no cash wagon. Than
We are
some
definitely
people.
not alone.
No, I'm not
No,
saying
no.
you're alone.
I
but-
prefer cash just because I can look at my wallet and know how much money I have. I don't like going to the bank.
But you
That's
guys-
just a personal.
Honestly, I never go to the bank. It's what apps
Well, okay.
and
So the reason I
online
don't
money
do
management is
well, the
for.
reason I don't do online banking is because my freshman year of college, when I was using online banking, my identity was stolen and they took everything out of my account. Like I had like
You
like
get it
2000.
back?
No.
What kind of bank are you? Are
Yeah,
you
I was
the
going to
Bank
say
of China.
pretty,
Like,
pretty much any bank will ensure
did
that
the,
kind of
did the website
transaction.
end in .ru?
No. It was because I didn't realize. Well, first of all, where I used to work, where the bar was, the bank next to it,
Yeah.
that bought the bar and turned it in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I work with that bank. I was with that bank.
I
Yeah,
have no
I'm still
idea.
with that bank.
They opened another branch up here.
Yeah,
So right down the street here now too.
Oh,
Next to the Burger
okay.
King.
Oh, so it's not like a small. It's a.
it is a small bank. I don't know why they opened another branch here, but that's neither here nor there. By the time I realized I had no money because I tried to make a purchase,
Oh.
I'm like, all right, well, why don't I have money here? I had missed some sort of arbitrary deadline.
It's usually like over a month.
A month or
Yeah,
possibly
like
up to
how do you
3
not
months.
check your finances?
I was at
Often.
college. I wasn't buying anything.
That's what your phone's for, though. Like you don't just check your accounts to make sure everything's
This-
kosher.
It
They
wasn't
didn't
until I
have-
had fraud in my bank account that I got the app on my phone. I
And
I
they
am
didn't
regularly
have-
checking my
They
credit
didn't
card,
have
my
an
checking
app
account.
for your phone. You had to go to their website on your phone and check it.
Yeah, that does make it a little more difficult.
And
That's why I keep browser windows
conveniently,
open.
that's actually how they got my information. So,
Were you over an unsecured Wi-Fi?
probably at some point, yes.
Yeah, well, there's your first mistake.
Well, like, and that was the
Yeah.
thing. Like, first time I had a smartphone. First time I had a debit account with online banking.
You gotta be careful.
Things like that. Yeah, and most of the time, like, I never deposited cash into my account because I used cash for everything. Whenever I needed something, I would run to Walmart or go to the mall, whatever. And like, I very rarely used Amazon up until I went to college. So
Yeah, I lost
It's
like
just-
1,500, I think. Probably, a year ago now, maybe? Yes.
really,
Yeah, I mean, again, to add legitimacy to what you're saying, it was probably 2 weeks till I even checked anything to do with my banks. But I mean, yeah.
I mean, when you're not
I
spending
noticed-
that money,
So that's why I like physical bank locations.
I noticed when the Chinese place overcharged me 25 cents on my credit card.
I would have never caught.
You're
anything
also
like that.
cheaper.
I don't
Well,
check my
okay, I
receipts.
shouldn't
No,
say that. Aaron's cheaper
Exactly.
than
you guys
all of
both
us here.
have lost over $1,000, and you're calling me
No,
cheap
I
for
got it
checking my
back.
financial transactions.
No, we're saying you're cheap because you noticed that right away.
Yeah, because I checked my transactions to make sure I'm not being overcharged or being charged for like
Yeah,
multiple
that's fair.
purchases.
But that's also why I like cash because hey, wait a minute. Did I give you the right amount? Yes, you did. All right, cool. I'm not going
Yeah.
to get overcharged that way.
I like my $50 in cashback rewards a year, Gary.
Oh, that's the other thing. I don't have a credit card.
That's also a benefit. Yeah, percentage wise, you actually, if you're smart about paying off your credit card and how you use your credit card, you actually end up saving money by using your credit card over cash. But
That does make sense. I just don't. After I got so scared after I lost that money, I'm just like, nope, cash
That's
fair.
fair.
Everything. If I can't buy with cash, I don't need it.
this is why Gary is afraid of technology.
Is this why you want
Yes.
to bury gold in your backyard too?
Listen, no one knows about that. You shut your damn yapper. No, I wouldn't bury gold in my backyard.
So you want to
My dad would, but
So you don't trust your money with a bank, but you want to put technology in your body.
I never said that, but that's a good place to go with it. The answer is kind of yes. So with the YouTube videos I was watching last night when I was trying to sleep, they were talking. I watched this one guy. His name was Albert Lin. He was doing a National Geographic summit over a year ago now, and he was in a car crash and he lost his leg. So he got a really nice prosthetic. I didn't even know it was a prosthetic limb until he pointed it out. And he was talking. He kind of went into the more spiritual aspect of what transhumanism is. Like,
I understand why that appeals to you now.
well,
It's
no,
almost
like,
an oxymoron.
well,
though.
so it was really weird because he went to a lot of different places. Like he went to India, he went to the Himalayas, he went to Guatemala, he went all over the place, and he kind of bridged the gap between transhumanism and spirituality, because his whole question is, why do these people pray? Why do these people beat these drums in a rhythmic chanting way? Why are there whirling dervishes? And like there's some explanation from a physiological sense for all of this. Like, the reason that they have the whirling dervishes is because they spin it at such a rate that blood flow stops going to their brain as frequently as it should because of how they're spinning, and they get lightheaded and they get into this like trance-like state. And he was talking about trying to marry technology with the human body to reach this transcendent state, because the whole reason he needed to reach the transcendent state was after he lost his leg, he was experiencing what a lot of people who lose limbs do called phantom pains.
Mm-hmm.
So what he first tried to do with his phantom pains was mirror therapy. And you guys might have seen something like this.
Unless I've seen it on
So-
like House or something like that.
So you can actually do this even if you even if you have not lost a limb. So if I put my hand in a box and I can't see it, but there is a fake hand here and there's a mirror, and I'm told to watch the mirror, if you came up and smacked that fake hand with a hammer, my real hand, which is perfectly unharmed, will feel pain.
Yeah,
but it's just how your brain
I've
communicates.
heard of that, yeah.
Right. So the way mirror therapy works is they put the mirror where you have your proper limb, or where you don't have a limb. So it mirrors, obviously, the limb that you still have. And by doing that, it tricks your brain into thinking that, okay, your limb is there, it's fine. There's no pain there. So your brain says, okay, well, it's still there. Why am I telling the rest of my body to hurt for a limb that's there and fine? Take the mirror away, pain comes back because the limb's no longer there. And your brain's trying to make up for the fact that the limb is no longer there. So the big problem with this that he was having is the mirror therapy wasn't working. So he made the next logical step. He ate magic mushrooms.
Yep. That
sounds like somebody you would listen to, Gary.
So believe it or not, psilocybin is the cutting edge in technology for people who have depression right now, especially people who have terminal illnesses. Studies have shown by taking psilocybin that it can help them get over what is called their mortal depression. And so he made this fact that he was tripping balls and being in this transcendent state using drugs and comparing it to the transcendent state that these people reach when they're, praying or chanting, whirling dervishing, playing drums and stuff. And he was talking about how can we use technology to reach that level of transcendence, and try to integrate everyone into that so we can reach a higher understanding of the human condition. So that was one video I watched on it, and that really wasn't what I was looking for, because it's on the right track.
It sounds like a lot of feel good, like
it is.
This
really
is a bunch
is.
of horse shit, but it's not.
Well,
they're trying to make something more than what, because what it all comes down to is just a chemical balance in your brain. Like, of course, we don't like you can simulate anything with a great enough understanding of how the human brain works. That's our biggest hurdle right now, is how does the brain work, and understanding what is going on inside this freaking rock of a skull.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because then I was dissatisfied with that video. It was a heartwarming video to watch, but that was not what I was looking for. So I watched the next video, which was a TED Talk from 6 years ago.
There you go. TED Talks, always reliable. Never anything wrong with TED Talks.
And he was talking about how he was explaining the exponential jump in tech.
Sincere. No, there's nothing wrong with TED Talks.
I don't know. See, again, like I say, I
some
can
of
never,
them are
I can
feel,
never
some of
tell
them are
with
feel
you.
good.
Oh well, yeah,
but they're usually generally fairly good.
Yeah, and so the other one I was watching, the TED Talk, he was talking about the exponential jump in technology, and he made the comment of, the cell phone in your pocket is 7 times stronger than the Mars rover that just ate shit the other year, the Curiosity rover. It's 7 times more powerful than the Curiosity rover. The PlayStation 3, back when it was new, was 250 times stronger than the IBM supercomputer that was built in 1993. And this modern day smartphone was 1,000 times stronger than the computers that put men on the moon in 1960.
I think you're actually underestimating.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's closer to 30,000.
I would believe it. I can't remember the number.
I just heard the statistic. I'm probably misremembering. I thought it was closer to 30,000 times.
That's probably accurate. Yeah, that's probably accurate. And when I heard, I knew we've come far with technology, but then just hearing the actual statistics, that kind of blew my mind. And then he went into talking about how, prosthetics work, things like that. But then he got even weirder with it. He was talking about how there's already tech, and this was 6 years ago, mind you, that you can go into someone's brain, localize a memory, and force the brain to forget it. You want to ask me why I'm afraid of technology? That's why. Is that not scary to you?
Not particularly. If anything, I don't know. That's a really weird example because, like, so if memories are being erased from my brain and I don't know about it, then I wouldn't even know anything's wrong. And so what's the, to me, that's almost comforting.
Like, well, to be fair, there's a lot you would like to forget.
It is strange, but it's an obvious truth. Like, you can't have one without the other. You can't have the ability to fully understand the human brain but not be able to get rid of memories. Like, of course, with a complete understanding of the brain, we would be able to go in and eliminate memories. Like,
well, they also were able to put in new memories.
Yeah.
I would argue your brain does this on a daily basis naturally.
It actually does.
Because that's why memory is so unreliable.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. That's your brain doing it. That's not some third party doing it to your brain.
Yeah, I can understand how technology like that used for nefarious purposes could be not great,
Yeah, exactly.
Upsetting,
that's what I'm trying to say here. Is that not a legitimate reason to be kind of spooked by tech going forward?
Yeah, well, that's also why I'm not a big fan of, like, physical body augmentation, like, as opposed to biological body augmentation.
You mean
so
like
you're
cybernetics?
Not,
like cybernetics. It's more.
But you're more for vaccine kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I guess vaccine. Yes. Yeah. I think we can all safely say we're all pro-vaccine because we're not morons.
Yes, absolutely.
But I'm talking. Yeah, like what Aaron was saying is less cybernetics, more gene editing.
Oh, like CRISPR tech.
Yes.
Or like medical, more medical science, less computer stuff hooked up.
See, and that's what's weird. Like, cybernetics interests me, but I don't know if I would ever get them.
Are you okay with non-GMO corn, Gary?
Yes.
They're a gap bridger because I would argue biologics are way more complex machines. I wouldn't say than we could ever make because obviously with nanotech and stuff you can get smaller than. Actually, I don't know if you can get smaller than cells, but like your body is a machine already.
Well, yeah.
So perfecting that machine seems to be the preferable option over introducing outside factors.
But what if perfecting that machine means replacing parts, like with cybernetics?
No, but I get that's my point. Is you could probably biologically alter things more efficiently than say like a mechanical limb, whereas you can just
I don't know about that because you can only edit your genes so much. Like for example, this is kind of like let's say we wanted to be able to lift heavier things easier as a human race, right? So if you could go into the human genome and just ramp up the leg muscles, like go way ham on the leg muscles, is there a point where that just becomes too difficult or just too unrealistic than just replacing your legs with bionicle legs that, not bionicles like plastic things, but bionic legs that can lift like thousands of pounds?
Well, see, there you're getting into trouble because I think selectively editing the human genome for stuff like what you're saying with ramped up muscles, that's
eventually what we're going to get to.
Yeah, but
I would say that's
I
one
feel
of
like
the
that's
end
such
goals.
a long way off. It's hard for me to picture.
But is it?
Like by doing things like that without knowing what you're doing, you're like you can really screw things up.
Yeah, and also you're talking about a matter of necessity too. Like, I don't
feel like
think it would make more sense to just build up an exoskeleton than it would to actually physically replace your body parts.
I was going to say the exoskeleton thing is a good point.
Like, there's no reason to remove your biological parts when you can just build.
But then are you going to take your exoskeleton with you? Is this going to become Fallout where we're walking around in the freaking mech suits?
No, but when do you find yourself needing to lift thousands of pounds, Gary?
Never. But what if, I'm driving on the freeway and oh my god, an 18-wheeler just did a somersault and is now on top of another car and someone's trapped there. I can't do anything as the fleshy meat boy that I am now, but if I had bionic legs, I could.
Yeah, but also, I don't know. You're talking like, well, first of all, the human body already can lift thousands of pounds, so it's a bad example. But like, there's been examples of people lifting helicopters.
Well, yes, in extreme circumstances, and you can only do it once in your life, usually.
Yeah, but when you're talking about being able to edit, like, human bodies be more or less perfect, but I don't know. You're already talking about something that it's a matter of convenience. Like, I wouldn't want to give up my actual biological legs for something that could potentially have a breakdown when I can just have permanent, biological machines are machines that can run without any outside maintenance, pretty much, once you get the genome editing technology to where we want it. Whereas, like, when you replace it with robotic parts, you have to, then requires maintenance.
So you're talking more eugenics, less cyborgs.
Yeah, I think cyborgs are, like I said, like a gap closer. I think we'll be able to make cybernetic implants before we get to the technology as far as like CRISPR and stem cell research and things like that. But I think the end-all be-all will be genetic modification.
So here's what's interesting. I did send you guys a couple articles. I don't know if you looked into it.
No.
But
that's not.
That's fine.
I looked at one of them, but it's not. I don't think it's.
That's
what you're
fine.
Referencing.
The one that I'm referencing is the one that was talking about eternal life.
Oh yeah,
and they made an interesting comment about it that I think is applicable here. The cost. Would it be cheaper to do the CRISPR kind of genome sequencing, and editing, than the bionic legs? Like, what would be cheaper?
I think cost that you're looking on a short-term, temporary timeline, because ultimately, again, the goal is to make cost irrelevant.
Well, we're not there yet.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't think you're going to be able to make the cost irrelevant until this has already been done.
No,
I don't think we will be able to live in a post scarcity society until we have made things like disabilities and people losing their arms and they get a regular prosthetic as opposed to a bionic arm, or the ability to regenerate that arm with who knows whatever the hell you're talking about.
I agree. If we're talking about prosthetics, yeah, I think cybernetics would be the way to go for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
You're not talking about, regrowing limbs and stuff, obviously, is way, far enough away.
And reaching a post-scarcity society is not a step on reaching a post-scarcity society.
That's the goal. I understand that.
But what you're talking about...
No, but you're saying this is a necessary step for it. We could have a post-scarcity society before we're able to gene edit.
Do you think?
Yeah, it's a possibility. This might be a more insurmountable task than we realize. We might need unlimited energy to be able to, realistically start breaking down the science behind editing the human genome.
But I thought we are already at some form of gene editing.
Yeah, we can. But when you're talking about total body modification, that's a much bigger step than what we're looking at right now. Right now, we're looking at ways to end essentially natural cell death. I'm blanking on the name for it now.
What, natural cell death?
Senescence. Thank you. Yeah,
we're
trying to end senescence. It's so you know how when DNA replicates, you lose a bit of the end of the chain. The telomeres get shorter.
Yes, the one thing I remember from my genetics class.
So what happens is when that gets too short, the cells
just die.
Are given the command to just kill themselves essentially. So what you want to have...
They're being told to kill themselves because they're short? Sounds like you when we were trying to put up the blankets to record.
So what you have is you want to stop that from happening. That is the end of senescence.
Okay.
Which would put... That is by definition the end of senescence.
That is one of the causes. There's more than one...
Is there?
Unfortunately,
that is the main...
prepared. I don't actually know.
That is the main... there's other parts to genetic immortality than just that, because you have natural cell death, but really senescence is the biggest hurdle as far as extending lifespans.
Aging and that kind of
and ending aging. If you can solve senescence, you end aging.
Yeah, I suppose. No, I think that what Gary's really trying to get at here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is at what point do you have prosthetics, right,
Yeah.
that are so good that you might elect to replace a perfectly good arm? Right? Is that
Yes.
the kind of thing you're trying to get at?
What I'm saying is, like, I don't think that is necessarily a step that will occur before a post-scarcity society.
See, I think it will.
It's all because the biggest hurdle for a post-scarcity society has to do with space travel and automation. So they're not linked fields necessarily.
Well, but no, because you do have to. Who's going to man the flight to go? Like, so what do you mean by post-scarcity society?
Essentially,
are you assuming that we're not going off-world?
not
Because
yet.
eventually we're going to have to. There is a point where we're going to
also-
run out of stuff here.
Well, yeah, but we don't need humans to go get resources. But like, when we're talking post-scarcity, we're talking humanity has a moon base, and we have a Dyson sphere, and we've started mining at least asteroids.
Him and his fucking Dyson sphere.
It is.
First of all, would you like to explain to the people at home what a Dyson sphere is?
So it's essentially, in basic terms, it's essentially a way to more efficiently capture the power of the sun.
I always picture it as wrapping the sun in tinfoil and using that heat, energy, light, whatever, for
So
electricity.
yeah,
and
the
other
most
things.
efficient, or what we currently believe to be the most efficient way to create a Dyson sphere would be to, first of all, everything starts with the moon base. We need to get on that. But
There might be Nazis there.
Iron Skies was a great movie.
they made a second one. We have
we
to.
gotta
We'll
watch
have to.
that.
We have to go.
We gotta
over that.
watch that.
But you start with the moon base, and you launch launch a project from the moon, preferably, and you mine. I can't remember if it was Mercury or Venus. My
Mercury.
guess would be Mercury. I couldn't remember if Mercury
Well,
wasn't
Venus-
suitable because
Venus
of,
is the molten planet.
Venus is the one with the clouds and the toxic.
Well, yeah,
corrosive
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, so,
yeah.
okay,
It's
so it
literally,
it helps-
Venus is literally a volcanic planet, but on top of that, its entire atmosphere is toxic gas, which doesn't allow heat to radiate out of it,
Yeah.
which is why Venus is actually the hottest planet in the solar system, and Mercury is still closer to the sun.
Yeah. So, and which is also a benefit for this. But you essentially send robots to mine Mercury, and they create little satellites and more of their own selves, and essentially you increase production. But the way they power themselves is you send them a small amount of power and solar generators, so they're able to collect solar, and they fabricate essentially reflective panels that reflect the light from the sun at a collector, and they can then use that power to create more robots and more automation to increase to create more solar panels until you have the sun almost entirely encased in these reflective panels that are able to direct their energy at collection points.
Okay,
And it's
so
essentially unlimited power for the foreseeable future.
cut to that one scene from Revenge of the Sith. Unlimited power! Okay, so 2 questions about that. If we are essentially coating the sun in mirrors...
Coding isn't the right
Well,
word.
I mean, surrounding the sun in
yeah,
mirrors.
in a low orbit.
Isn't that going to kind of mess with how our planet keeps itself warm?
You don't need to totally encase it.
Okay.
The
You can
idea-
do like a ring around
It's
it.
not
Okay,
again. It's
fair
not a sphere so much as it's a swarm. Dyson swarm is a
Yeah,
term I've
yeah,
heard that is a pretty
Okay.
good. And basically, if you wanted to keep, say, Earth its normal, nice, happy, solar routine,
Mhm.
you could just leave a gap or create a gap with the satellites, presuming they can move themselves in some fashion.
Yeah, just
Okay.
like
So
a little hole that lets it shine its light towards
like
the Earth.
just on
still.
Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that all being said, you and your Dyson sphere,
It's,
no, it is a neat thing, but like,
Kyrgyzstan has a really good video on it.
Yeah,
If anybody wants to watch
I
it,
like their
They have a
videos.
lot of good stuff on it.
when I heard the Dyson sphere idea, it was them shooting a photon at like the very edges of a black hole, or not a photon, a light particle at the very edges of a black hole,
No,
and ricocheting that off of a mirror,
that's
which
complete.
also generates energy.
Yes,
But it
that
also
is
makes
the
a
next
bomb.
step. Yes, that is the next step after, once we have more power than we can harness from all of the suns in our galaxy, you would then go to the black hole in the center and attempt to siphon energy off of a black hole.
Oh, that doesn't sound dangerous at all.
Oh, it is very dangerous. Well, there's a safe way and a dangerous way to do it.
The safe way is to completely enclose, or the
No,
dangerous
that's the
way
dangerous
is to completely
because you
enclose
essentially
it.
make a bomb then.
Yeah,
that
because
can
it
wipe
just
out
yeah,
the entire galaxy, I think.
I don't know. Once
it's a large portion of it.
It's a level of risk and danger that stops having meaning. Because even
It
once you
doesn't,
have
though?
a Dyson sphere or even a partial one, you already basically have a death ray that can just kill whole planets if you use it wrong.
the actual.
I don't know
Death
how
Star.
much you would have to
Yeah.
have someone that would be able to hijack control of all of it, and it would have to be able to output in a way that it could point somewhere dangerous.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying the risk is there.
The risk is there.
So,
You could wipe out humanity with the Dyson sphere if you were.
Because it's basically how it beams power back. Is it's a giant death ray.
Yeah.
Except you aim it at a spot where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then it's going to convert that into power.
Yeah. Like when you're talking with like limbs, you're talking about miniaturization and making things more efficient on a smaller scale.
Just like precision machining
Yeah,
and some other things.
But when you're talking about making a Dyson sphere and sending a mission, you're talking about like space travel and automation. We need to be able to get what we need to start the fabrication, and you need it to be able to be self-sufficient enough that it can replicate itself.
See, I still think that's going to be a bigger ordeal because, like,
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it's not necessarily one than the other. It is possible that we have a breakthrough in AI that allows us to start this mission. Whereas,
we crack fusion before
Yeah.
we get either.
yeah, and then we don't.
which
it becomes
actually
much
we're
less
kind of
necessary.
close to, like, the South Korean sun, which is what they nicknamed it, like I'm all right. I gotta take this time because I keep putting my legs in front of Jonathan and I keep getting into his space.
You're just
and
like
I'm
gently
sorry.
caressing my shin.
I'm sorry.
And it's very
I'm really-
uncomfortable.
I can't even feel it because it's not even me. It's my socks. 'cause
I
they're
know,
coming up.
and that
I'm
makes
sorry.
it even worse.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to play footsies with you. I swear. But anyway, no. The South Korean sun ran like 3 degrees hotter with its super collider than ever before, and it was not 3 degrees hotter than ever before. 3 degrees hotter than the sun. And it was like, they ran it for like 90 seconds, and they were like, this is a huge breakthrough, because we just did that. So we are one step closer to making small-scale stars on our... making stars on our planet. Like, I would see that happening before your Dyson sphere, I'm sorry.
I'm not saying like
No,
that's
like,
not what
I'm not
it's-
saying, like... I'm not saying that as a slight at you, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying I feel like that... We'll hit that before we get to Dyson sphere.
Oh yeah, especially because we're just ignoring
But
space travel
again,
as a society, and it's really a shame.
When we're talking about
Like-
post-scarcity, it's not just the energy and being able
Yeah.
to generate the energy.
Well, that's
you
what
need.
I'm saying. I'm saying, what about
Mhm.
resources in general, period?
Well, once you have energy, you can like mining asteroids and mining other planets becomes trivial. Our limiting factor is energy.
But it's also the rate of which we could get from point A to point B. Like,
When we're talking about our solar system, though, it's not that big. Like we're talking like life like spans of years, and that's even with older technology.
Well,
It's
with
not-
cybernetics or gene editing, presumably lifespans are much longer. It becomes less relevant.
You also don't
Especially
have
short
humans.
distances.
Oh well, yeah. You also don't have humans doing these missions.
so if good old Muskie set up the Mars station, would y'all go to it?
no, why? I like my life on
What do
Earth.
you mean?
I-
colonize Mars?
Yeah, well, like, would you go to colonize? See, that's something
We've
I
got
would.
it all backwards here too. We shouldn't be colonizing Mars before we have like.
I think he wants to colonize Mars as like a proof of a point.
We need
Honestly.
to colonize the moon. First.
I'm okay with like living in space and stuff like that, but living on Mars, I don't know.
I don't know. I
see
like
it.
the red aesthetic.
Oh yeah, no, it's a cool place. I would totally vacation on Mars. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, like I wouldn't mind going, but I wouldn't mind going, but I wouldn't want to stay.
They put a Disneyland on Mars.
I mean,
kids are
space
going to
tourism.
Disneyland. Get your spacesuits. Yay!
Futurama did it on the moon.
Yeah, space tourism will be a very real thing.
I thought Elon Musk was already trying to make it with commercial.
Virgin Galactic is.
Virgin Galactic.
I just don't. I don't see. I'm just not about that because it's going to be such a miserable existence. The first
It's
decades,
gonna be terrible.
centuries, like who knows?
Maybe when I'm 150, I'll visit Mars, but like I don't see it being feasible. I guess maybe like 60 or 70. I don't know. We need to have a moon base before we have a Mars base. It would make everything just that much more efficient, and we can start doing a lot more studies on like the effects of low gravity and like more reasonably get people.
Well,
living
with
in these
cybernetics,
places.
you might not even have to worry about the effects of low grav.
I'm not sure. I'm actually curious now because I feel like machinery is still affected by the low gravity or zero gravity.
Well, yeah, the
environment,
machine
and
is
it
still
can cause a lot
affected,
of
but
issues.
you don't have to worry about the loss of bone density on a machine.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Huh.
Because unless
But
you, with your CRISPR tech and gene editing, make bones super dense, but when does that then become a problem?
And or just hard to alter. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Can you alter the bone density and muscle?
I guess what you're
muscle growth?
selling with the cybernetics aspect is you have versatility because you can swap parts
and
out
utility, yeah.
and that kind of stuff. Whereas if you're gonna like alter your body in some way, medically, you're not gonna be reversing that a lot. I don't know.
And that's the big thing in
Potentially.
Cyberpunk too. Like you make upgrades throughout the entire game. Like the chip that you implant in your head in the game, it sucks when you first start. It blows. Like there's no point to keep it. I ended up just getting rid of it for something completely different because like there was an option that you can slow down time instead of having like the shitty computer in your head, and I'm like, that's just way more worth it because now I can shoot things without getting shot.
Yeah, it's
the versatility I like.
But that's
I like the idea of exoskeletons and power armor better.
Now
especially because once you get microtechnologies, it can just be essentially a skin on you.
That's true too.
Like
the one thing I will say though, the main con for like the tech versus the genome thing is the main con of it is the genome. Once it's done, it's done. No one can fuck with that anymore. You put that exoskeleton on, someone can clip your brakes. Someone could
that's what,
that's
there's
one of
something
the
to be
main
said
upsides,
about the efficiency of the human body, and I think that's like my biggest thing is you get more versatility with cybernetics, but also you don't need to permanently implant them to get that versatility.
That's true. You also have a weird thing where you have a weird thing with your consciousness as it goes towards like eternal
I don't think
life,
it's weird.
too.
It's absolutely.
I understand where you're coming
It's
from.
the most logical way to think about it.
I do understand where you're coming from, but I kind of just look at it as eternal life is eternal life, period.
But not if it's not you.
It's literally a copy of you that picks up right where
Okay,
it left
so
off.
hold on. We
Yeah,
have
I
to
was
we
gonna
have to
say-
actually get to this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have
set
to
this up.
preface this. We might not even have time. Can we explain this in 10 minutes? We can explain
No.
it in 10 minutes. No, but maybe.
So we're
I don't
talking
know.
about basically swapping out your brain for some
Yes,
sort of
I think the
computerized...
best
Transferring your consciousness to a machine,
Yeah.
I think, is the long and short of it.
So the idea is you have
So
an
killing
immortal
yourself so someone like you can continue living.
It's a copy of you.
Yes, but you're killing yourself.
brain. Well, it doesn't have
It's
to
not
be a
like you're
copy
killing
of you.
yourself. Like it's a backup plan. It's the restore file.
We're
But it's not you anymore,
No,
though.
no, but here's the thing: if you can realistically copy someone,
A consciousness.
yeah, right, then you can transfer in theory, right? That's your
yeah,
idea.
you could.
Ship of Theseus.
Sorry. I'm
All
sorry,
right? What if you
Jonathan.
did it one
I
neuron
just
at a
talked about
time?
doing it too.
You mean like physically transfer someone's brains to someone?
No. You replace the neurons with some sort of synthetic neuron.
That's
You
what
keep
Deus
them in
Ex
the same-
Machina, the movie that neither of you two see, is about.
Well, I guess I don't need to see it now.
No, it's a good movie up until the ending, then it's a bad movie.
If the alteration is able to occur without a break in the stream of consciousness,
Which is the idea, because your brain
then yes, but
restructures
that's
itself,
different than what
and
we're
you
talking
lose
about.
neurons over time.
Yeah, that's
right?
different than what we're talking about. What we have talked about in the past. Like, that's not making a copy of your brain as a backup. That is physically, slowly over time, changing
It's
your brain.
upgrading your brain.
Yeah, that I'm fine with.
So you would upgrade your brain with technology where you
No,
would live
no,
forever?
No.
No.
Biological only on that end.
Okay. That's an understandable. I get that one.
But maybe like physiological changes mechanically until the biologic aspect gets there, but I think we'll probably have the biologic aspect before we have the tech. Like, before we create a synthetic heart, I think we'll be able to end senescence.
It's
just
interesting.
because of the complexity of your body wanting to reject it and things like that.
See, like, I would want to replace like my whole nervous system with some sort of like synthetic version of like, I don't know.
Oh, you want to be a
wires or
juicer
something?
from riffs?
where you know, because you can improve your reaction time and things like that. And I
So
don't know,
yes,
it
you do
seems-
want to be a juicer from riffs, is what you're saying.
right? I mean, nerves can only transmit signals so fast. In the theory,
At the speed of light. What?
Unless you're diabetic.
you can totally.
Then they just don't.
They just don't. No, it's because the medium they're traveling. Like you can change the medium that the signal travels.
But
through.
is it faster? Because it's
Well,
electrical.
I don't know.
Because it's electrical
I'm not
impulses.
talking about a specific technology. I'm just talking about the concept.
I don't know. See, like,
I don't know if your nervous system would be the way. Like, isn't that more of a like? I don't think reaction time is a delay from.
Well, no.
It's more of your brain has to process the
If
information.
you can do
it's
it,
getting.
yeah. But if you can like do the same thing with your brain, then you can speed up or slow down your subjective experience of time,
Yeah.
which I think is interesting. So
Yeah, I guess like for me, it's just I don't see the necessity in it. I don't feel the need to change it to that much of a level.
with
I mean, especially when you can already change anything else.
If you can live it forever, then I guess you're right. There's less of an incentive to be able to basically live more of your life in a set amount of time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like it.
I don't.
No, it'd
like,
be cool. Like I think it'd be awesome if it's an option that we have, but it's just not like I personally don't think I would get much utility out of it. Like I don't
Live 10 years in like a day, that kind of deal.
Yeah, but why? Like 10 years already feels like a day almost. Like
Depends on the context, really.
but yeah, it's I don't
You're
know.
at a boring opera. You just slow down your subjective time, so like it's over before you can react. Like it's basically like the click remote for your life.
And that gets into the parts like when do you know that you're the one controlling it?
God.
That is honestly
controller of life.
that is one of my bigger issues with cybernetics is like the fact that control does not rest with you.
Yeah, but like
necessarily.
viruses hijack your body all the time, and presumably, if we have the technology where you can make these alterations to your physiology, people could also sabotage your physiology through similar
guess.
methods.
Yeah, biowarfare. You know, I mean, we do live in the time of Corona, so like that's like we're already seeing how detrimental a virus can be.
People
to
already do that with like neurotoxins. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just to kill. But,
anthrax,
Yeah.
ricin, shit like
But
that.
even just something that's gonna, give you seizures for the next 20 minutes, kind of deal.
The black shakes from Johnny Mnemonic.
I guess the argument is like why open yourself up to something further? Because presumably you're still going to be vulnerable to anything biologic. You're not
Well-
going to be completely a robot.
Well,
I guess maybe you will be, but unless
Well-
like you're saying, unless you could do a neuron by neuron replacement
and that kind of
and
that
guarantee that there's no break in the stream of
Yeah.
consciousness.
and that's kind of the thing too. If you go full of bionic, we definitely don't have the time for this episode, so maybe we'll have to continue this. But like the one thing that is really neat about the Cyberpunk tabletop RPG, not the video game, because the video game just
Did this predate?
doesn't.
or-
Yes, actually. So the Cyberpunk tabletop came out in 1993, and their most recent
Checks out.
like updated version is Cyberpunk Red. It came out a couple of years ago, so it's still pretty fresh. What's interesting about the tabletop, which I feel like they didn't address in the game, which I might just not have gotten to it, is the fact that with the more chrome you put inside your body, the less empathetic you become and the more like a robot you are. Which I think that's a fair, like, as you remove things that make you human and put things in that make you more machine, like, it's a fair point.
But
about.
it's not the parts you're putting in that make you that. It's your change in perception because you're no longer, like, it's not like there's something magical about the increase in proportions that's causing anything. It's the fact that you're losing connection with what made you human. I think. But there are argument there. I don't think there are
small things, because, like, if you, like, they're different for your cybernetics that you put in. So, like, if you put a monofilament wire, you remember that guy in Johnny Mnemonic who he pulled on a ring and it was like, yeah. So that was basically a monofilament. If you put that in, it's a very small hit to, because empathy is actually a stat in the game. It is. It's linked to your charisma.
I mean, people already lack empathy. If anything, Corona showed that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But that's we're not getting into that yet. But, like, so, like, the monofilament wire hits your humanity, your empathy very little, because, like, it's just something. It's a party trick at the end of the day, and it's also a weapon. But if you, like, get a processor that makes your brain function, like, 20 times faster and better, that takes a harder hit to your empathy or your humanity, because you are swapping out a part of your brain that is just machine. So it, like, and again, this is in Cyberpunk,
you're talking about swapping parts of your brain, but why wouldn't you just add or augment? Why take anything away?
Space.
There's only so
you can be the ultimate
big
brain by just having like terabyte hard drives strapped to your helmet.
Well, that's kind of like, so the crazies in Rifts. I know you know nothing about Rifts, Jonathan.
No,
but
don't even know what you're talking about.
So Rifts was a tabletop RPG that my dad played when he was in college, back when I was like a baby, so in the 90s. And I wanted to play it because you can do everything in Rifts. Like, it is Dungeons & Dragons with Cyberpunk, but also with superheroes, and also, like, Mad Max. Like, you can do anything. You know, and Star Wars, like, it has it all. The class that I was super interested in were Juicers. Their whole shtick is they have a biometric thing hooked up to them that's constantly pumping them full of drugs that turn them into superhumans.
Oh.
But there's another class called Crazies. What they do is they drill holes into their heads, and then they put little, like, electrostatic shocker coupler things into their heads that just shock them and give them the superhuman effect.
Okay.
But that's something we can talk about later.
Yeah, I think we're at a good
point
to wrap up that
we will continue
segue
this
back
next.
into this.
Yes, we will continue with this next time.